Tony D and Little Joan with a Screenwriter's Rant, and this time we're doing 3 trailers, Joan. First one is Do Justice. Next one is Eileen with Anne Hathaway. And finally, The Zone of Interest. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 12 available at Amazon.com. Book 13 dropping soon. So 3 very different movies. This is a revenge movie. I like these kinds of movies. It's a little unclear, but the basic story is guy comes home, finds his wife and brother, who's an FBI agent, dead. And his 2-year-old daughter is missing. Although the girl they got to play the 2-year-old daughter looks much older than 2. She looks like she's got to be at least 4. Closer to 6, really. 2-year-olds, they're like toddlers. They're like babies. Can barely walk, some of them. I don't know. Anyhow, a brother and wife murdered and a 2-year-old missing. So he's out for revenge. There's a training scene. There's a scene with him training with knives. He's got I think a partner who's also trying to help too. And he wears like a hood and goes into evil places. Jeff Leahy, I think that's his name, plays the lead villain. He's pretty good. And they capture him and tell him, I want my money back. And I think he gets betrayed by his partner. That may be him in the background. Not so sure. There's a lot of big talk in this movie. There's a couple cool booby traps, and here he rigs a hand grenade and tricks them into blowing themselves up with the money. It's called Do Justice. Looks pretty good. All right, Little Joan. From Saban Films. Kellyanne Lutz, Jeff Fahey, yeah. Efren Ramirez. I think I know him from the... Is he from the Crank movies? I think he is. I love those movies, by the way. Written and directed by Javier Reina. So, first act, his wife and brother are killed. He is devastated. His daughter's missing. They tell him, let the FBI handle it. Yeah, right. That never happens in one of these movies. They give him a bunch of nonsense. He trains for a while and, I don't know, makes knives and starts performing justice. How many executive producers here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's a pretty good number. 14 executive producers. So he starts looking for his daughter in the second act. And there's Efren. He looks like he gained a little weight. Kills a bunch of dudes, probably, on his way up the chain. Eventually gets to Fahey. Fahey says, I want my money back. Can you get your daughter back? What will he do? He has to get the money and then go after him and get his daughter. He knows that they'll kill him, at least, and probably his daughter. So, in the end, he wins. Pretty standard stuff. Pretty gritty drama. Next up is Eileen. It's a period piece. Takes place in like the 50s from Neon. So Eileen works in a prison. I'm not sure in what capacity. I'm going to guess like secretary. I think she falls in love with a prisoner. But that's not the focus. The focus is they get a new employee, Rebecca, who's played by Anne Hathaway, who is smoking hot. And she's the prison psychiatrist, I guess. But she's also very manipulative, based on the award-winning novel by Odysee Moshfegh. She's very manipulative and seduces Eileen, and they have a torrid affair, but they also have kind of a falling out. So, from the acclaimed filmmaker William Oldroyd, I don't know him, but I do know Anne Hathaway, director of Lady Macbeth. So it's a psychological drama. Yeah, or psychological thriller. so it takes place in the prison, and by the end of it, they're trying to kill each other. So the first act, um, and then this guy, he's a character actor. He always plays like the dad or the brother. He was from Boardwalk Empire, if you remember that show. So she works at the prison, lives with her dad. This is the 1950s. And there's a scene where Anne Hathaway screams at her. Screenplay by Luke Gobel and Otessa Mosfei, who wrote the book. So that's good. That's really good. Thomas Mackenzie. Shia Wingham. Marin Ireland, Owen Teague, and Anne Hathaway. It looks pretty good. I'm not big on psychological thrillers like this. But I might see this. I would want to hear some reviews of it. But it is based on the book, and the author co-wrote the screenplay. So that's a very good sign, if the book was any good, which I think it may have been. I've never heard of it. But, yeah, this could be good. This could be good. So first act, Rebecca comes to the prison, changes. It's kind of boring at first, and then Rebecca moves in, and she makes it interesting. They become friends, then they become lovers, then things get real for whatever reason. Maybe Rebecca is jealous that she also has an affair with a prisoner or whatnot, and then maybe she has the prisoner killed or whatever, and they go back and forth, and you realize she's a psychopath, not Eileen, but Rebecca, and then Rebecca has to somehow come out ahead before Rebecca destroys them both, kind of thing. So, could be very interesting. Let's see, is there a write-up? No. Anne Hathaway is a good actress. I gotta say, she was one of the best things in the Batman movie where she plays Catwoman. She really surprised me in that movie. I thought, Anne Hathaway, she's all right. No, she's really good. So this could be a good movie for her to sort of stretch her acting chops. All right, and then Zone of Interest from A24. This is a movie about the bad guys from Germany, but it doesn't say that. So what it is like they focus on the family, like a family, as these guys are off doing terrible things, but insulate their family from the terrible things. But the weird thing is, they're calling it a masterpiece. There's nothing. This is a terrible trailer, by the way. An awful trailer. It doesn't really give you a sense of much. You have to really watch it. But it says here, it's about wanting the best for your children. Yeah, who doesn't want? Following the rules and working hard. Yeah, that's actually a good thing, unless the rules are all screwed up as they were in Germany at the time. Feeling you deserve the best in life. See, you see what they're setting up? Entwined with the unspeakable time. I think they're kind of setting this up to be an anti-family film. So, I don't know. Do not look away, says Slash Film. So this is the shot that gives it away. Gold teeth. Yeah. Pretty grim. But beyond that, they don't give you anything about the characters. Nothing about what the plot is. So, I don't know. If I had to guess, it's going to start with the family, and it's just going to be one shock after another, right? So it's going to be this nice family. You don't know where they are or where they're from at first, and then one of the guys comes in with the uniform of the bad guys of Germany, and then you're like, oh. But you'll probably know that going into it if you see this or you see any of the write-up on the movie, but whatever. So that's going to be the first big shock. And then it'll just keep going from there. At some point, they'll look over the wall of their beautiful house and see devastation, or, one of the places where they put people, I'll say, you got to kind of talk around this stuff on YouTube. I don't know why YouTube has banned talking about this to some extent or flags you. But it'll be one horrifying revelation after another. The teeth is obviously one. And, but like the plot, I don't know. So the first act will be like the first revelation, then you realize you're there. And then the second act will be like revealing that again and again and again. You know, they're trying to do things for their family, but they have to do more horrible things to get them. Or at least the men do. And then eventually they're killed or whatever. And, you know, the war starts to kick up. And maybe by the end of it, you see planes going overhead, dropping bombs. I don't know. Something like that. It'll be very grim, I can tell you that. From writer-director Jonathan Glazer, starring Sandra Huller, Christopher Friedel, Ralph Herforth, Zone of Interest coming soon. Sounds like it was made maybe overseas. The actors, the cast sounds like they're all German. Jonathan Glazer, that name sounds familiar. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad film. I'm saying it's kind of heavy-handed. You know, I'm not saying I wouldn't watch it, but this trailer doesn't do it any service. It feels, the trailer makes it even more heavy-handed than it is. And I'm not saying it's not, you know, it's a bad time they're talking about. It's not a bad thing to make a movie about that kind of stuff. This is kind of a ground we've covered again and again and again. You really got to kind of go far to give us a new take on this. You know, there are stories I've heard of that haven't been made into movies. I don't know if this is really going to be one of them. I don't know how historically accurate it'll be. But again, it kind of covers ground, you know. So when you think about, oh, do I watch this movie or that movie? It kind of goes down the list if you've seen a bunch of these movies. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, yeah, I've seen Schindler's List, and I've seen a bunch of movies about that era, and it's like, there's only so many you could see before you kind of just get exhausted by it. And there's all new stuff happening every day, so, you know, human atrocities, there's no shortage of it. But, yeah, I mean, it looks like it was shot nice, I'll say that. But the trailer it's a bad trailer. I'll say that. It is a bad trailer. All right, so ranking these three films, very different films. Obviously, the Zone of Interest goes on the bottom for me. It's just not something I need to see right away. The only question is of which one goes on top. On the one hand, Do Justice is my kind of movie. It looks okay. It looks a little low budget, but it looks like they're trying to use a lot. And then Eileen looks really high end, and Anne Hathaway is doing a good performance. But typically, I don't like these movies, so I'm a bit torn. I kind of got to call it a tie. Eileen and Do Justice, although I got to maybe just give it to Do Justice a little more, only because I tend to go for these movies. But certainly I would watch both of these before I would watch Zone of Interest. So, and I think they all look pretty watchable. Yeah. You know, the last one, maybe if you haven't seen a lot of movies about that, I think you'd find it interesting, but I mean, it's certainly shot nice. This is more meat and potatoes, Do Justice, and Eileen. Eileen is either going to be brilliant or like, oh, I saw that coming. You know what I mean? But I think, no, I'm leaning back towards this. I mean, the author did co-write it. I mean, it all kind of depends upon the book. If the book is good, this could be really great. So I don't know. Do Justice could kind of be by the numbers. Yeah, I'm going to go back to a tie. It's a tie for me. Eileen and Do Justice, and then Zone of Interest. All right, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan, somewhere in the house. Thanks for tuning in. I'm at the Delran Historical Society tonight at 7 p.m. for my talk on how to hunt the Jersey Devil. Hope to see you there. We'll see you tomorrow.